Before we get started with today's video, I have an announcement to make. After years of telling other people's stories, I finally released one of my own. My novel Eternal Reign is available now in both ebook and paperback format for those of you who are like me and prefer to collect physical media. You can grab a copy right now on Amazon through the link in the description of this video. And now back to our regularly scheduled program. The Empire and the Galactic Republic have come to a truce for the time being, but since the Empire knows that it won't last, they've started to hunt for allies in the neutral systems. One of the planets that they're trying to add to their ranks is Hutta, but the crime lords that run the place are refusing to take sides in the war, since it's more profitable to stay neutral and do dealings with both sides. The whole neutrality thing doesn't really benefit the Empire, so they've decided to send in one of their operatives, that's you, to help draw the world into an alliance with them. Once you touch down on the planet and make your way past a very lax customs check, you contact Keeper, the man in charge of your operation. Nimro the Hutt and his organization run the city of Jaguna, and your job is to get him to supply the Empire. The town produces a lot of different types of goods, from weapons to raw materials, and Nimro sells them everywhere. Keeper thinks he's been trying to avoid losing Republic support by openly supporting the Empire, but that needs to change. Hutts aren't exactly easy to manipulate though, so you'll have to work your way into his clan's inner circle, get in good with his advisors, and learn the best way to get the Hutt to do what you want while making it seem like it was in his best interest. An alien named Jeeg has already set up a cover story for you to help you get this process underway. He's waiting for you in a nearby safe house to fill you in, so you head off to meet him. Jeeg is going to have you impersonate a well-known but extremely mysterious pirate known as the Red Blade. This pirate is so well disguised that few people know what race, species, or gender it is, so it's the perfect cover for you. Jeeg has spread the rumor that the Blade is coming to the palace to do business with Nimro, which gives you a way in. The real Blade is currently doing some work in the Outer Rim, so the odds of the person you're pretending to be showing up is almost zero, so that won't be a problem. There is one small issue though. Jeeg had some items shipped to the world for you to give to Nimro as a gift, but a gang of dangerous people stole it. Since he likes his life, Jeeg didn't try to stop them, but he did see the entire thing. He knows where they took your stuff, and if you want it back, you'll have to deal with them, so you head off to do just that. When you get back to Jeeg, he checks to make sure you got everything before he calls Keeper to let him know that his part of the mission is done. There's nothing more for him to do, so he heads off to wait for his next set of orders while Keeper gives you your next task. You'll introduce yourself to Nimro and give him the gifts that you got as a way to get on his good side. One of the items has been fitted with something that will let Keeper listen to all of the conversations in the palace. From there, you'll do whatever the Hutt needs so you can get closer to his inner circle, since even if you can't get him to join the Empire, you may be able to get one of his lieutenants to come over to your side, which will be nearly as good. When you get to the palace, Nimro's people are already expecting you, and one of his top men, Karos Javis, gives you the rules on meeting Nimro before you head in. They're more to keep you safe than the Hutt, since if you break any of them, you will be shot quite a few times. The first thing the Hutt wants to see is whether or not your gifts are a worthy tribute, and once Karos goes through them, you get permission to stay in the palace and do business on the planet. He introduces you to his other top guy, a Twi'lek named Tothlesen, but he doesn't get the chance to do much more than that because Father the Hutt and his clan have attacked another one of Nimro's shipments, and he's not happy about it. An unhappy Hutt isn't the most rational of beings, so Karos takes you to the side to give you a little more info about their organization before he sends you to your rooms. He's been working for Nimro since his old gang got killed by the Hutt when he was 13, and even though he doesn't necessarily like the way the Hutt operates all the time, being a part of Nimro's crew is one of the best jobs on the planet. Right now they've been having an issue with another Hutt named Fathra, and since the Hutt cartel won't step in and stop the conflict, things have been tense in Nimro's palace. While the Hutts are all criminals, there are rules to the game, and the cartel said that Nimro and Fathra are supposed to only operate in their own territories. Fathra's been ignoring those rules, which means Nimro's top people have been working overtime figuring out how to deal with him. Karos has to get back to it, but he does plan on talking to you later. After heading to your room and getting rid of all of the listening devices the gang put in there to spy on you, you call Keeper to let him know that you've completed phase 1 of your mission. He's already aware of that since his transmitters have started sending him signals from all throughout the palace. Imperial intelligence has figured out that Karos is the best person to target as someone who can be brought over to the Empire, since he's fallen slightly out of favor with Nimro and he doesn't seem all that hostile to the Empire. The Hutt's been blaming Karos for not fixing the problem with Fathra, so Keeper wants you to offer to help the man deal with his problem so he can get back on the Hutt's good side. The mission's importance has gone up a bit since a Sith named Darth Jadis has started to take interest in it, He's a member of the Dark Council that only answers to the Emperor, which basically means that you'll end up very dead if you fail, so you head back to Carol's to get back to work. On the way there, you run into a guy named Dano who, in a very bad twist of fate, actually knows the Red Blade, so he knows that you aren't him. Since keeping your secret is the only way to stay alive, and the only way that two people can keep a secret is if one of them is in a box, you deal with the guy before getting back to Carol's. Carol's proves that Keeper was right about him when he starts asking you questions about what it's like to do business with the Empire. He's not asking you that because he's figured out that you're one of their spies, but because the Blade has worked for the Empire a time or two. After you give him a totally non-biased glowing review, he lets you know that he's pretty sure that it won't be long before the Empire and the Republic both start trying to get control of Hutta, and he wants to start weighing his options even though Nimro doesn't. The fact that his sons are off currently doing some business with the Empire is also playing a big part in his curiosity. Still, he has other stuff on his mind. Nimro's been upset with him ever since a shipment of rare ores got lost in the Evokai lands. He doesn't know why the Hutt blames him for it, but it is what it is. The Evokai have been on the planet long before the Hutts got there, and they hate them for very obvious reasons. Carol's wants you to go and get the ore back for him, a job he'll pay you very well for. He could send his people, but dealing with the Evokai on their own turf isn't exactly easy. The ones who didn't want to fight the Hutts made a deal with Nimro, and they live in a work camp outside of Jaguna. Even Carol's thought they were stupid for trying to make a deal with the Hutt, but they did it anyway. Their chief was supposed to try to get the ore back since he clearly knows who took it, but he hasn't shared any useful information, so you go to see if you can get him to talk by doing something that none of Nimro's people seem to be capable of doing, asking him nicely. Odef is positive that one of the other tribes took the ore, but they refuse to give it back. They took the stuff specifically to spite Nimro and to make weapons so they can better kill the Hutt's people. They have their materials in their village in the swamp, so you can try to take them back if you want, but Odef thinks there are easier ways to offer yourself than trying to get into that village. So you prove him wrong by going and reclaim the ore yourself before heading back to Carol's. When you get back to the palace, a very creepy looking woman named Kaleo, who's been watching you for a while, finally decides to talk to you. She works for Nimro, and her job is to keep the palace safe so the Hutt doesn't have to worry about his enemies getting into the building. She doesn't suspect that you aren't the real Blade, but she does think that you're up to something, and she will find out what it is, which means there's a very good chance that she'll find out who you really are and jeopardize your mission. So very soon you may have to add her to the growing list of people you've made disappear in your service to the Empire. When you get back to Carol's, he's in the middle of a conversation with Tothlixen about how SWTOR is trying to steal their gas reserves, which Carol sees as a much bigger problem than his coworker does. The conversation ends when you walk up, since Toth refuses to discuss company business in front of an outsider. The whole thing is giving Carol's a headache, but the fact that you managed to recover his shipment from the Evokai, which will get him back in Nimro's good graces, has him very happy, at least on that part. And he's more than a little eager to work with you again, which is exactly the point of all of this. Keeper has been watching everything that you've done, and even though you've been doing well, he wants you to watch Kaleo because she will probably be a real problem. She's a freelance assassin among other things, and she changes names and employers more than most people change underwear, which means she's not all that loyal to Nimro, so you may be able to use her. But Kaleo is a secondary problem. Nimro owns a gas mine on Hutta, and the Empire wants access to what he produces. Unfortunately, SWTOR's been stealing some of Nimro's gas, so you need to destroy his operation out in the rush yards to make him stop cutting into Nimro's profit. If SWTOR was able to refine the gas the way that could be used in the explosives that the Empire wanted, they would just do business with him. But since he can't and they need Nimro, Keeper wants you to blow up SWTOR's equipment so he won't be able to steal the gas. Getting into the facility won't be the simplest task, but after you steal one of the guards' uniforms and their credentials, you manage to get inside and put an end to SWTOR's sabotage. When you get back to Nimro's place, Carol's has already heard about the explosion in the rush yards, and he had a feeling that you had something to do with it. He knows SWTOR will retaliate, but he's gonna make sure Nimro's ready for it. When you make it back to your room to report to Keeper, there are a few people there who are definitely not supposed to be. Someone paid them to put some listening devices in your room, but since you caught them, they try to kill you instead, which turns out to be a very unwise decision. Once they've stopped breathing, you contact Keeper to let him know about your progress with Nimro's people. It turns out that some things haven't gone the way they were supposed to. A few days ago, Carol's sons ran into a Sith apprentice out in Imperial space, and one of his sons was killed while the other one was messed up pretty badly. Considering how close Carol's is to his kids, it is highly unlikely that he'll still be up for working with the Empire once he finds out. So now he's become a problem. Keeper has a way of fixing the situation though, but first you'll have to kill Carol's. The man has some very high-tech security systems guarding his room, but Keeper sends you some tools that'll shut it all down and let you do the deed without leaving behind a paper trail, one that leads to you at least. The security jamming equipment is Republic issue, so when Nimrod's people find it, they'll think that the Republic killed Carols. Tothlazin is already expecting Fothra to try and get revenge for what happened to his mining operation, so you are going to make it look like the Republic helped him take out Carols. Since you were working with Carols against Fothra, Tothlazin won't suspect you, and he'll likely be willing to accept your help to get revenge for his dead friend. There's more to the plan, but Keeper will tell you about it after you deal with Carols, since nothing ever goes according to plan and things might change last minute. Fortunately, taking down Carols in secret isn't all that difficult, and Tothlazin is more than eager to get your help hunting down the killers. He thinks Fothra had help from the Republic, and he wants you to find out who, because if he did, then Nimrod will need to make a deal with the Empire to balance things out. He wants you to use your contacts to get the information that he needs, which is perfect since that was what you were going to do anyway, just not in the way that he thinks. So you head back to your room to talk to Keeper about the next phase of the plan. Unfortunately, Khalil is already waiting for you in your room, and unlike Tothlazin, she knows that you killed Carols. Oddly enough, she's not there to snitch on you. She knows you're working on something way more important than Nimrod, and she wants to be a part of it. Keeper's been listening to the entire conversation, and he already knows way more about Khalil and her very shady past than you would expect, which is why he's perfectly fine with hiring her. You don't have a problem with that since it beats the alternative of having her try to ruin your mission. The next part of your assignment is to steal a holodisc from Fothra's palace that has a record of all of his business dealings. And once you do that, you're going to alter it to show him meeting with some Republic officers. There's a lot that can go wrong if Nimrod's people find out that what you're going to give them is an edited video, but Keeper thinks it's worth the risk, so you and Khalil head out to do the incredibly difficult job of breaking into Fothra's palace. The good news is Khalil's been there before, so she helps guide you through the place. The bad news is there are a lot of people there guarding it that the two of you have to deal with. Khalil is positive that once Nimrod's people see who Fothra's been doing business with, a lot of people aren't going to make it. That's not your problem since you'll be long gone when the real violence starts, so you take your info back to Toth. Nimrod reacts exactly how Keeper hopes and starts making moves to do some deals with the Empire. Your work on Hutta is done, and he has a shuttle waiting for you to bring you to Dromund Kaas. When you get there, you'll be getting your next assignment. On your way to the ship, you get a call from Jeeg, and he has some not so good news for you. The actual Red Blade is about to land on Hutta, and if he starts talking, everything you've done will be ruined. So you do the only logical thing, and that's catch him at the landing site, hit him until he's done with all of his living, then get off of the planet before anything else can go wrong. This concludes the prologue for the Imperial Agent storyline. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like it, comment, share it, and subscribe. Grab a copy of my novel on your way out, and I'll see you all next time.